Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, that Supreme Brahman is infinite, and this conditioned Brahman is infinite. The infinite conditioned Brahman proceeds from the infinite Supreme Brahman. When through knowledge, realizing the infinitude of the infinite conditioned Brahman, it remains as the infinite unconditioned Brahman alone. Om, peace, peace, peace. So that is the Shanti mantra, the peace chant for the Īśopaniṣad, which we are studying. And now we are on the 9th mantra. The 9th, 10th, and 11th mantras, they constitute a set. So we're going to do them together. Up to last time we did up to the 8th mantra. So 9th, 10th, and 11th we will do together. Before I get into it, let me point out this is a landmark. It's going to make it's a point of inflection. A major change is coming. From till the 8th mantra, it was Vedanta. The teaching was, who am I? That I am this limitless consciousness. This world is nothing other than Brahman. I am the Atman. I am pure consciousness. This pure consciousness itself is Brahman. Atman is Brahman. And I do not know this. I need to know this. When I know this and this becomes a living reality for me, all my problems are solved. The teaching in the 6th and 7th mantras is the climax of Vedanta, the oneness. All beings in the self and the self in all beings. Vivekananda said, Vedanta is the oneness of all existence. Good. So that's Vedanta. But now, what about the rest of the Upanishad? Upanishad has 18 mantras, and we are barely halfway, 8th mantra. Here comes the reason why the Ishopanishad, I put it off towards towards later. We have done of course, we did the Mandukya Upanishad, but with the Karika. But then we have done the Katha Upanishad, the Mundaka Upanishad, the Kena Upanishad, and now the Ishopanishad. It's a small Upanishad relatively, but it's not straightforward. There are these complications, and now we'll begin to see the complication. Till now, Vedanta, straightforward Vedanta has been taught. What we saw in the other Upanishad, the same thing we saw in the Ishopanishad also, and put in grand and beautiful language. And now comes some very intriguing mantras. This is where the difficulty starts. Now, let me just read through or the chant and translate the 9th, 10th, and 11th mantras, and you will immediately see what the problem is. 9th mantra. Andham tamah pravishanti ye avidyam upasate tato bhuya ivate tamo yau vidyaya gumrataha. Those who worship avidya enter into blinding darkness, but into greater darkness than that they enter who are engaged in vidya. If you translate literally, you'll get a paradox. It is saying, the mantra is saying, that those who are engaged in ignorance enter into darkness. Those who are engaged in knowledge enter into a greater darkness. What does that mean? I mean, it's pretty straightforward that those who are in ignorance will enter into darkness, fine. And those who pursue knowledge will enter into light, into enlightenment and freedom. So no, they'll enter into greater darkness. That's very intriguing. Then, number 10. Anyadevahuravidyaya anyadevahurvidyaya anyadahuravidyaya iti shushrumapu dhiranam yenastadvichachakshire. They say that by vidya, a really different result is achieved, and they say that by avidya, a different result is achieved. Thus, we have heard the teaching of those wise men who explained that to us. This is the 10th verse. It is saying the result of ignorance is different, the result of vidya or knowledge is different. And this is an ancient teaching. All right. Then that does not seem too different from Vedanta, because after all, Vedanta does say, if you remain in ignorance, you will be in samsara. That will be your life in samsara. You'll go through cycle of births and deaths. But if you become enlightened, you'll be free of the cycle of births and deaths. You'll be free of suffering. You will attain fulfillment, lasting, deep fulfillment, freedom, moksha. So clearly, the result of knowledge and of ignorance are different. That seems straightforward. But then again comes the 11th verse, again very paradoxical. 11th verse or 11th mantra. Vidyam cha yastad vedo bhayagum saha yastad vedo bhayagum saha avidyaya mrityum tirtva vidyaya mritam ashnute. He who knows these two, vidya and avidya, if you translate literally, knowledge and ignorance, he who knows these two together attains immortality through vidya by crossing over death through avidya. Or to put it in, if you translate it literally, it means combining knowledge and ignorance together. The one who practices both together. By ignorance, one crosses over death. By knowledge, one attains immortality. Again, by knowledge, one attains immortality, understandable. Vedanta will say that. But by ignorance, one crosses over death. What would that mean? What's the point of this? So if you step back and put it together, what was said in 9, 10, and 11? 9 tells you that those who pursue ignorance, avidya, they enter into darkness. Those who pursue knowledge, vidya, enter into a greater darkness. 10th tells you that the result of avidya and the result of vidya, the result of knowledge and ignorance, is different. And the 11th one, and this is what the wise have taught us, and the 11th one tells you something equal to something again paradoxical, that you have to somehow combine knowledge and ignorance, and by ignorance, avidya, one goes over death, one crosses death, and by knowledge, one attains immortality. The whole thing does not sound very Vedantic. It sounds a little strange to us. So, and this with good reason. Now, let us see what Shankaracharya does with this. I will give you the traditional Advaitic explanation of this. What Adi Shankaracharya has done is that he has split the Upanishad into two parts. 18 verses. He says, verse 1 and verse 2 introduce the two parts of the Upanishad. Verse 1 and verse 2. Or mantra 1 and mantra 2. The mantra 1, let us remember, there's a very, very famous mantra. Īśhavasya sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagattena tyaktena bhunjitha ma gridha kasya svidhanam. This entire universe of the moving and unmoving has to be covered with God, by the Lord. And protect this knowledge by renunciation. Do not covet what is not yours. Do not covet the wealth of others, and so on. So this is the first mantra. And it teaches us the underlying message of Vedanta, that there is a transcendent, immanent reality, a divine reality, existence, consciousness, bliss, which is covered this universe with. That means uncover it. It's already there. That's what it is. And we have to discover it. And we saw. So this introduces Vedanta. We saw that it introduces Vedanta. According to Shankaracharya, this introduces the Vedantic portion, the knowledge. Vedanta means the knowledge portion, the teaching that I am Brahman. Now, this will be developed further. This was developed further, we saw, in mantras 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And that completes the Vedanta teaching. But in mantras 2, according to Adi Shankaracharya, mantra 2 was Kurmanneveha karmani jiji vishet shatagam samaha evam tvai nanyathetu asti na karma lipyate nare. Seek to live 100 years. Live 100 years of a full life, working hard and leading a good life. And it is only in this way that you will not be crushed by the machinery of karma. You'll be freed of karmas eventually. What is that? Shankaracharya says, this mantra, the second one, is meant for those who are not ready for Vedanta. Who are ready for Vedanta? Who decide, my goal in life is enlightenment. My goal in life is God realization, self-realization. I'm no longer going to pursue this world of cause and effect. Cause and effect means the world of karma. I will do this and get this. Do it in the world of karma, do it unwisely, you'll get suffering. There will be demerit, what is called papa. Papa means demerit, sin. And the result of that is suffering. Do it wisely, then you will get punya, merit. And the result of that is sukha, a much better life. In this life and after death, you get to go to heaven. Those who are not interested in this continuous, birth and death and then rebirth and death again, who want freedom, who want truth, who want to know what's the ultimate reality. For them, Vedanta. For those sincere seekers of spirituality. The path, that's the path of knowledge. That's the mantra 1 is for you, and details in mantras 3 to 8. But for those who are not ready, those who still say that, no, I want stuff in this world. And if you're promising me some wonderful heaven after death, I want that too. I'm not particularly interested in liberation, becoming infinite. I want this life to continue. And in a good way, of course. I don't want to suffer. Can you show me something? Then the Upanishad says, sure, we can do that. We can show you a better way of living this life. Vivekananda says, you cannot run away from the machine. You can only learn how to work the machine so that ultimately the machine sets you free. So this learning to work the machine of karma, that is the second part of the Upanishad. And the second mantra introduces it. It is the way of karma. The way of karma is being introduced here. Let us remember the structure of the Vedas. The Vedas are broadly divided into the ritualistic portion and the knowledge portion, Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda. The ritualistic portion again has two parts, the karma and the upasana. Karma means rituals, and in the Vedic period it meant simple and elaborate fire rituals, yajna. And it has a meditation portion also. In that ritualistic portion, there's a meditation portion called upasana, where various kinds of visualizations. Part of the problem here is neither the rituals nor the meditations are currently active or practiced. Nothing dies entirely in Hinduism, so you will find some of it is still definitely part of modern Hinduism. But over time, in modern Hinduism, what has happened is over the last 2,000 years or so, the rituals have been replaced by new rituals. The Vedic fire sacrifices still continue, what we call homa. It is there in Hinduism, pretty widely done, but not the elaborate kind of fire sacrifices, the yajna, which was prevalent in Vedic times. That was the main religious practice of the Vedic people, Vedic Hinduism. But over time, over the last 1,500 to 2,000 years, the Vedic fire altars have been replaced with big and small temples. And the worship of Vedic deities has been replaced with worship of God in various forms. And the Vedic fire sacrifices have been largely, not entirely, but largely supplanted with the Hindu puja, worship, ritualistic worship of God, in the form of Shiva and Vishnu and, Devi, the Divine Mother, and Ganesha, and so on. In many different forms, the same God worshipped in different forms through rituals. And these rituals have evolved. But now what we are studying is very ancient. It refers back to Vedic Hinduism. So the language they are speaking is sounds obscure to us. They are speaking the language of fire sacrifices. They are speaking the language of Vedic meditations. Now, in modern Hinduism also we have meditations. You visualize Shiva in the deity, or maybe Rama or Krishna, and you have a mantra, something like Om Namah Shivaya. You visualize it and you repeat the mantra, and you can do ritualistic worship of Shiva or one of the deities and visualize in your heart and repeat the mantra. So that's the kind of meditation that we do today and the kind of worship that we do. Let us remember the ancient counterparts, the forerunners of this kind of practice, was the Vedic fire ritual and Vedic meditations. These Vedic meditations were called Vidya. One meaning of Vidya is knowledge, another meaning of Vidya is Vedic meditation. Vedanta knowledge, I am Brahman, the knowledge of Atman, Brahman, that is called Jnana, also known as Vidya, Atma Vidya, the self-knowledge. But here, when you are referring to Vidya, it means that earlier portion of the Vedas where rituals were taught and Vedic meditations were taught. So what Shankaracharya does here is, he says the second half of the Upanishads, it talks about rituals and meditation and the result of that. Why does it do so? For large numbers of people who are not yet ready for, don't want moksha, who are not particularly interested in self-knowledge, enlightenment, does religion have anything to offer them? Can religion make their life better? Yes, it can. So the earlier portion of the Vedas is for them. And so this second part of the Upanishad is a carryover from the earlier portion of the Vedas. To understand this second part of the Upanishad, we must understand it in the context of the earlier portion of the Vedas, in the context of Karma Kanda. Don't keep Atman, Brahman, pure consciousness, Drigdrishya, Viveka, Panchakosha, 5 layers of the human personality, waking, dreaming, sleeping, pure consciousness, existence, consciousness, bliss. Forget that for the time being. Push that to the background. Then what are we supposed to think about? Just the way we think about ourselves as this person. I am this person. What can this Vedic religion do for me? What does it offer me as this person? I'm right now not ready to deconstruct myself and try to see that I'm pure consciousness. None of that. I'm not the body, not the mind. Forget that. I'm not into that. I am the body and mind. Now what can you tell me? So this is for such a person. Those who are not yet ready, they're not saying that it doesn't appeal to me, enlightenment, the price is too high. I want this life. Can you make it better? And the Vedic religion says, yes, we can. A question at this point might be, why bring it into the Upanishad then? Why bring it into Vedanta? We thought that was done with, it's the earlier portion of the Vedas. But it is also useful, very relevant for spiritual seekers. That we will see. All right, with that background, now we are entering into karma and upasana. Karma, rituals, upasana, Vedic meditation. For what? Not for enlightenment, not for moksha, for improving our lives here and maybe going to heaven after death. They all believe that was the goal. Now, how does Shankaracharya explain these verses then? Even if you think of it in terms of ritual and meditation, the words still are mysterious. I mean, by ignorance one goes into darkness, by knowledge one goes into greater darkness. What does that mean? So what it means here is this. Do not translate Vidya and Avidya. Literally, they mean knowledge and ignorance. Do not translate it like that. Shankaracharya's first step is, Vidya means, it's a technical term. It's a Vedic term. It means Devata Upasana, Deva Vidya. That means the meditation on the Vedic deities. So these are different methods of meditation on the Vedic deities for getting certain worldly and otherworldly results. So that is the meaning of Vidya, not self-knowledge, not knowledge of Brahman, not enlightenment. The meaning of knowledge here is meditation on deities. And the meaning of avidya is not ignorance. The meaning of avidya here is not vidya, other than vidya. So what is other than meditation in the ritualistic portions of the Vedas? Rituals. The ritualistic portion of the Vedas has two things only, meditation and ritual. So if you call meditation vidya, then not vidya would be ritual, the fire sacrifices. So avidya here does not mean ignorance, which is the literal dictionary. If you go to the dictionary, it will say ignorance. But here it means not vidya, not the meditation. Other than the meditation, in the Vedas, what do you have? You have rituals. Lots and lots of a variety of rituals. Now look at the Shankaracharya says, now take a fresh look at the mantra. It says, Those who are engaged in rituals are plunged into darkness. Those who are only engaged in Vedic meditation, they enter into a greater darkness. For the result of ritual is different and the result of meditation is different. And then if you combine both of them, then by rituals, one overcomes death. By Vedic meditation, one attains immortality. Still not very clear, but we are making progress. This is the first thing that Shankaracharya suggests. Now, next step. I'm giving you Shankaracharya's frame. We will see different things later on, but first let's understand what classical Vedanta wants to say, what Advaita Vedanta, what Shankaracharya wants to say about this. Step 2. We can ask the question, all right, suppose Vidya means Vedic meditation and Avidya means Vedic rituals, yajna, fire rituals, yajna. All right, but why is it being criticized? Why is it saying, after all, it's a criticism to say that if you do rituals, you'll enter into darkness. If you do Vedic meditation, you'll enter into greater darkness. The Vedas themselves prescribe it. Why would they criticize something? But why would they say you enter into darkness or greater darkness? Here, Shankaracharya brings in um, a principle of interpretation from the Vedas. This is called Vedic hermeneutics, or in Sanskrit, this is called Mimamsa. Mimamsa is, how do you interpret a text? You can't ask the persons who wrote this text or the rishis who revealed this, they're long gone, thousands of years ago. So the the followers of the Vedic religion were forced to develop a very sophisticated form of interpretation of texts, sophisticated form of interpretation of text, because their whole religion was based on these arcane and rather obscure and very ancient texts. Imagine when Shankaracharya was writing these commentaries, these texts were very, very ancient. They were at least 2,000 to 3,000 years at least, even by modern reckoning, before Shankaracharya. 30 centuries had passed. So it was impossibly old, these texts. So more and more sophisticated ways of trying to extract the meaning from these texts. So wonderful principles were developed, which are still applicable, really amazing. And they are very useful for Vedanta. They were originally devised by the school called Purva Mimamsa, the school of based on the ritualistic portion of the Vedas, the Karma Kanda of the Vedas. But the method they developed of interpreting the texts, it is very useful for us as Vedantins, because after all, we too are text-based. We are based on the Upanishads. And how do you get the meaning of the Upanishads? What is the science of interpreting a text? We get it from the Purva Mimamsakas. And Shankaracharya liberally uses the system devised by the Purva Mimamsa school, who are, by the way, his greatest opponents. But anyway, the Purva Mimamsa school, one of the principles is, a little minor principle is, Nahi nindya nindyam ninditum pravartate apitu vidheyam stotum. I'm sort of paraphrasing, I forget the exact language. But what it means here is this. In the Vedas, when you find criticism, when you find something being condemned, the principle is that the point is not criticism. The point is not to condemn anything. The point is to praise something else. Let me explain. When, for example, ritual X is being criticized, you find it in the Vedas. The point is not to condemn or criticize that ritual X, but rather to praise ritual Y, that this is much better than this X. Y is much better than X. So when it is saying that if you pursue rituals separately, you go into darkness. If you pursue Vedic meditation separately, you go into a greater darkness. It is not condemning rituals, nor is it condemning meditation, Vedic meditation. In fact, the Vedas themselves recommend the rituals and recommend the Vedic meditations. And if you want to pursue them independently, you're welcome to do so. And you will get good results from each one of them. But what is being said here is, the point is to combine both. Have a life where there is ritual as part of your religious practice and meditation as part of your religious practice. And the two of them will give far, far better results. Let me repeat. This is his solution to this tangle. That no, it sounds like The Vedas prescribe rituals, the Vedas prescribe meditation, and now they're condemning rituals and meditation, saying that you go into darkness and greater darkness if you pursue that. The Shankaracharya's reply solution is no, they are not condemning it. In fact, what they are saying is uh, instead of practicing rituals separately and instead of practicing meditation separately, do them together, combine them for best results. That is the recommendation. So they should be, these two medicines should be taken together for best results. Taken separately also, they will have the benefit. They are not to be condemned. It's not a condemnation. Suppose someone says, no, I'll just practice, I'll just do my little ritual, physical ritual. Well, you'll get limited results. Or I'll do a particular kind of Vedic meditation. Well, you'll get limited results. But combine them both, you'll get powerful results. So now if you look at, so this is step 2. Now if you look at the 3 verses once again, they'll make a little more sense. What do we have now? Those who are engaged in rituals only enter into darkness. What does it mean now? Those who are engaged in ritual only get limited results. Those who are engaged in meditation only, they will get limited results. And because the result of ritual is different and the result of meditation is different, if you combine them, you will get both of those different results. And the result of ritual will be you cross over, quote unquote, you cross over death, and you, but the result of meditation will be you attain immortality. Again, better. Now, in second step, we are better off. One more step is necessary. What is this crossing over death by ritual and attaining immortality by meditation? That has to be resolved. Then the whole thing will make sense. Third step, let's try once more. Combine both. That's the recommendation. We say, all right, I can think of it. I can do a ritual and I can do a meditation. And if you see a modern Hindu puja, you will find both. You will find a lot of rituals going on there, and the worshipper will, for a short period, meditate also. Now, what are the results? It says the result of ritual is different and the result of meditation is different, and you should combine them. And what is the result? The result of ritual is go over death, cross death, and the result of meditation, attain immortality. According to Vedanta, it's not possible. By ritual, by anything other than knowledge. It's only by enlightenment that one goes beyond death and attains immortality. Because as long as we are in ignorance, as long as we think we are these bodies and minds, we'll be continuously engaged in action, we'll get the results of actions, good and bad, and we'll continue to be born and die. So you cannot cross over death by action. You cannot even attain to immortality because nothing is immortal except Brahman, the ultimate reality, which you already are. And that is attainable only by knowledge, not by ritual or by meditation also. So what is the meaning? What results are we talking about? Again, these are all Shankaracharya's interpretations. So he says here, there are these 2 kinds of death. One is bad character. A kind of death is where our behavior, language, the way what we do in the world, bad karma, if we do evil, if we do wrong things, you lie, you're dissolute, characterless, and then cause harm to myself, cause harm to those around me, and pollute society in general. All of this is bad karma. This is called a kind of death. This is like a moral death, if you might say, one might say, and it has serious consequences, karmic consequences. The other kind of death is our inner life, quite apart from our physical what actions we do and what speech we speak. Our inner life. If our inner life is hellish, negative, anger, unhappiness, complaints, grudges, greed, lust, all of this negativities, if our mind is aflame with this, it's a kind of death. And these 2 deaths are overcome by moral action and an inner spiritual attitude of meditation and prayer. That makes sense. Ethical action and, of course, the Vedic ritualism. It fixes your life within our lives within these boundaries so that we do not enter into that realm of death, which is moral death. It keeps you within the limits of ethics, within the limits of morality. And of course, ritualistic piety. That is the Vedic fire rituals. The Vedic fire rituals are always supposed to be performed by leading an austere and moral life. One cannot be dissolute and at the same time still perform the rituals. So it's assumed that I'm already trying to be a good person and then be devout. And then the Vedic meditations means I have a clean and pure and uplifted internal environment. My thoughts, ideas, emotions, intentions, what my mind dwells upon is good, is pious, is elevated. So in this way, we cross over death. Now, this is the answer. What is that attaining immortality? So the idea is our life is a combination of our actions and our thoughts, what we do physically and what we are internally. We are this, as these persons. See, it's different from Vedanta. Vedanta keeps on stressing that you are awareness, you are being. That's true, but that's very deep. That's the ultimate truth. But right now, it's quite easy to see. We have a physical dimension, a bodily dimension, a social dimension, where we exist in the physical world and interact with society. And we have an internal first-person inner life. These two together are our lives. And in Vedic language, our life is karma and upasana. The rituals that we do and the meditations that we have done, this determines our life. Or in the language of the Isha Upanishad, our life is vidya and avidya. If you translate as ignorance and knowledge, it won't make sense. If you translate as ritual, avidya, and vidya, meditation. This will generate, so this is the next part of it, this will generate a tremendous potency, which is called, which is punya. There's an old and a very ancient mimamsa term for this in Karma Kanda, which is called the adrishta, the unseen result, which will take you after death to various heavens, depending upon the amount of karmic credit that you have earned. So the Vedic people, that was seen as the goal of life. You have a good life here, and after death, you go to one of these heavens, the highest of which is Brahmaloka. Brahmaloka is literally, if you count the heavens in the Vedic cosmology, it's literally the seventh heaven. So when we say in English, I'm in seventh heaven, it also means the Brahmaloka. In Vedas, it is known as Brahmaloka, the world of Brahma, not Brahman, the world of, it's a heaven. Also known as Devaloka, the world of gods, but the highest world of gods. Below that is what is called Pitriloka, the world of ancestors, various heavens where our ancestors dwell. So this was the cosmology of the ancient Vedic people. If you do rituals and you do meditations together, it will lead to the highest result where you go to the highest heaven, Brahmaloka. So this is the goal. According to Shankaracharya, this is what the Upanishad is telling us. This is what is open to us. The range of possibilities open to us if you are not interested in enlightenment and freedom. If we are not interested, we're not ready for that, then this. Be spiritual, or to put it in a very brief soundbite, either be spiritual or be religious. Either be a seeker of enlightenment or be a pious person, a devout person, moral devout person. Be a spiritual person or at least a good person in life. These are the two choices given to us by the Vedas. If I say neither, the Vedas will say you're asking for trouble, because then what will happen is the biological system will catch hold of you. Richard Dawkins, The Selfish Gene. The Selfish Gene is a book which I read long ago. He's one of the leading atheists, and he's a complete materialist. He absolutely is against religion, but he makes a very good point. The selfish gene, he says, his basic thesis is all that we are now is our genetics. And the genetics, the genes are just interested in one thing, not consciously, they are all unconscious, but They are designed, nature has designed them for survival and propagation. And we are gene machines. So we think of ourselves as persons. No, you are a vehicle. And who's the rider of the vehicle? In Upanishad, we think that consciousness, you are the rider of the vehicle is the body, mind. And Richard Dawkins says, no, 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 no. You, the conscious being, you are the vehicle, and the rider is your gene. Your genes are the, the person, the passenger in the car which you are. And the goal is to transmit your genes, reproduce, have children, let the genes survive. You will die. You have no future. You live for, thanks to the genes, you are alive for a short while, you will die. And hopefully the genes are hoping that you have reproduced enough, so your genes get passed on, and that's all they're interested in. So this is called the selfish gene. The gene exists for itself, and biology is the prime imperative. So our lust, greed, all of these are powerful motives, and they come from our genetic system. But the good point that Richard Dawkins makes there, I still remember, I read it a long, long time ago. I read it in a train journey in India as a young novice monk, and I was so fascinated. I loved it. The point he makes is, he clarifies. He says, I am not telling people, misunderstand me. He says, I'm not telling people to be selfish. He says, biology will make us selfish. And he argues, he says, actually culture is necessary. Education, culture, civilization will counteract the effects of biology. And that's what makes us more altruistic. That's what makes civilization possible. So he says, I'm making an argument. I'm an argument for education, argument for culture. I would say it's a good argument for religion also. Of course, he will never say that. So his argument for culture, education, because will help us to overcome the inherent selfishness of our genetic system, of our biology. This is not very far from what the Vedas are talking about. Vedas are saying, try to be a good person, or if possible, a spiritual seeker. If neither is possible, you're going to fall into the hands of your biological system, your genetic system, and which is going to twist you and crush you and destroy you in the pursuit of nature's goals, which are not necessarily the goals of you as a conscious being. It can ruin your life and cause great harm. It can cause immorality. It can cause great unethical behavior and all of that. So this is the worldview. This is Shankaracharya's solution to this apparent contradiction. See where he has brought us. Quick summary. If you look at the mantras, the mantra says literally, ignorance leads you to darkness and knowledge leads you to greater darkness. Shankaracharya says no. What it means is that rituals alone give limited results, and meditation, Vedic meditation alone, gives limited results. Then the next mantra says rituals, knowledge, ignorance gives different result and knowledge gives different result. This is what our ancients have taught us. Shankaracharya says, no, what it means is there is a result of rituals and there is a result of meditation. Then the 11th mantra says, those who combine ignorance and knowledge, by ignorance they will cross over death, and by knowledge they will attain immortality. Shankaracharya now what he has given us is, combine rituals and meditation in your religious life. Because of the ritualistic action, because of the physical constraints of a devout ritualistic lifestyle, you will be saved from immoral behavior. And that's the death called immorality. And by the power of the meditation, your inner life will be purified and uplifted. So you'll be saved from the death called the inner impurities and negativities and all. And by the combination of this, the Vedas are more interested in what you will get after death. So by the combination of this, you will go to the highest heaven. That is called immortality here. What they say, apekshika, that means relative immortality. So if one goes to the Brahmaloka, what happens? One will remain there, one will not be caught in the cycle of birth and death for the duration of this universe. As long as this universe lasts, you will remain in the highest heaven. You'll have a wonderful time. In American terms, you'll be having a blast, and it's a very elevated existence. You are extraordinarily powerful there. God-like being. And you exist there. You don't have to come back. Your past karma cannot pull you down again into worldly existence. No human birth, no, certainly no animal or plant births. You will remain in that godly existence till the end of the universe. Practically, you're free of the cycle of birth and death. But then what happens? Then when the universe collapses, only Brahman and Maya are left, you go back to your seed form, and in the next cycle, when the universe starts again, you're thrown back into the world to work out your remaining karma and evolve until you attain enlightenment. So this person is not enlightened. However, okay, so this is one part of it. Now, a second question comes. What does it have to do with Vedanta? I mean, we are seeking enlightenment. What good is all this for us? Here is a big thing. Until we are ready, a life of action and meditation is highly recommended for all spiritual seekers. Indeed, if you look at the lives of devotees, especially in our tradition, what do they do? Apart from the little Vedanta one might do, listen to a couple of YouTube talks or a Zoom class, but the daily spiritual practice of a devotee, we have been initiated into a mantra. You have got a deity to worship, and we try to lead a good life, especially do service, karma yoga. So our life as devotees, as spiritual seekers, is a life of karma yoga, is a life of japa and dhyana, worship. So basically bhakti and meditation. It's literally what this Upanishad is saying. You combine ritual and you combine meditation. It's just that. It's not the ritual they are speaking about, the Vedic rituals, not the meditation they are speaking about. We have our modern forms now. And we are not aiming for Brahmaloka till the end of the universe. We are aiming for enlightenment, God realization, moksha. But still, notice this combination of karma yoga, bhakti yoga, and raja yoga, dhyana yoga, this combination of action or ritual. We also do pujas. Many of us do, or we take part in pujas, so rituals. There is ritual, there is meditation and devotion. This combination is what we are practicing, and it is helping us. This constitutes the bulk of our spiritual life. For a long time, before Vedanta takes hold, in Hindi they say, Vedanta baithti nahi Mahatma ji. Vedanta is not sitting well. It doesn't fall into place until we are ready for it. That readiness comes from this combination of ritual and meditation. So it is useful for spiritual seekers, very useful for spiritual seekers. This is very good advice. This advice, because it's couched in terms which are so obscure and the language is paradoxical, it creates no end of different interpretations. But the basic message is very simple. Basic message is very simple. If all this high-flown talk about Atman, Brahman and all does not appeal to us, what can religion give us then? What can Vedanta give us? It will give us, or Vedic religion give us, it will tell us, take care of your actions and your thoughts. Take care of your behavior and your inner life, your thoughts and emotions. Spiritualize or make your inner life devout and your outer actions at least ethical and devout also, hopefully. So this is the background. Now, a few more points here before we wind up this discussion. There is one thing I must touch upon here is it's a huge debate at this point. If you read Shankaracharya's commentary, you cannot avoid it. It will come up. So I must introduce you to it. Otherwise, I will not have done my duty. Before he introduces the second part of the Upanishad, starting with mantra number 9, Shankaracharya devotes a few paragraphs to a big fight. What's the fight? It is a term called samuchaya, combination. Shankaracharya, one of the bugbears, one of the things which makes him mad, is this attempt to combine Vedantic knowledge with rituals. Jnana karma samuchaya. He says it's impossible. He says you would be crazy to do that. Now, why? Because it does not, the logic is not clear on the space of it. Are we not combining it? Right now, for example, You might have done your evening puja, and now you're doing doing Vedanta. You're listening to Vedanta talk, attending and studying Isha Upanishad, which is Vedanta. So why you're combining it? What's wrong with it? What he's saying is very deep. He says, look, as long as our knowledge is of the common run, the way we ordinarily understand ourselves, this knowledge reveals to me that this body and this mind, body, senses, mind, this is what it reveals to me about myself. And I feel I am this person. Here I'm a mind with certain senses embodied, and through this mind and body, what is revealed to me is a world. Identified with my senses, I become an experiencer. Follow this carefully. Identified with my senses, I become an experiencer. What does that mean? I'm translating the Sanskrit bhokta. Bhokta. Bhokta means, often it's translated as enjoyer, but actually it's mostly sufferer. Bhoga, the word bhoga means enjoyment, also suffering. Experiencer. I enjoy pleasure and pain. I experience pleasure and pain. I experience the world with the help of the mind and the senses and the body. The embodied sentient being, us, we become experiencers in identification with our senses. We see, we hear, smell, taste, touch. We experience pleasure and pain, pleasurable experiences by seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, smelling. We have painful experiences. This is called bhoga, bhokta. We become an experiencer in association with mind and senses. And in association with the mind and the motor organs, hands, feet, tongue, all our organs of action, we become doers of action, agent. So these are the two things which characterize our lives as embodied beings. We do stuff and we experience stuff. In Sanskrit, karta bhokta. Karta means doer, agent of action. And bhokta means experiencer of the results of action. We do stuff and we get back the result of that as various experiences. So we are doers and experiencers. Karta bhokta. This is the level of our consciousness. This is what is a very straightforward description of what sentient life is. Not just us, all living beings. Basically, that's what they do. We do it sort of with awareness, with a sense of agency. Animals might be doing it more instinctively, but we are all being sentient beings identified with body mind. We are experiencers and agents of action. Karta bhokta. And if we are like this, then for us is the world of action. Karma is for us. What kind of karma? Physical karma, linguistic, speaking, mental. That is, so mind, speech, body, this kind of action is what we do. There's nothing else we can do. This is our life. And therefore, when we look out into the world, there is ishta, anishta. That means desirable stuff, undesirable stuff. There's stuff which we like and want. There's stuff which we hate and try to avoid. So raga, dvesha is there. And so we engage, we use our powers of action to engage, to pursue the things which we want, ishta, and avoid the stuff which we do not want. We want wealth and success and popularity. And of course, we want to go to heaven after death. And we want to avoid disease and pain and suffering and failure and humiliation. And we don't want to go to the other place, hell. So this is what we are doing in life. And Shankaracharya says, perfect. For you is the Karma Kanda of the Vedas. The Vedas of Karma Kanda are perfectly designed for people who think this way about the world and themselves. I am a sentient being with a body, with organs of action and sense organs. Therefore, I am a doer and an experiencer, karta and bhokta. And for me, there is action. Please tell me what actions I should do. Religion comes in there. Morality comes in there. Ethics, dharma comes in there and tells you, gives you prescriptions. Do this, don't do that if you want to be safe and happy in this world and the next world. But then Vedanta tells you something entirely different. Vedanta tells you you are not the body. You are not the senses. You are not the organs of action or sense organs. You are not even the mind. You are limitless consciousness in which mind, body, senses, and world is appearing. The world is nothing other than limitless existence, consciousness, bliss. And if you look at it that way, if you take that seriously and you begin to think of yourself as that, then you can no longer think of yourself as a doer of action. If I'm seriously, say, for example, in a dream, I'm going around doing a lot of stuff, but actually I'm not doing anything. I'm lying down in the bed and imagining all of it. It's in my mind. So really, I'm not the doer of any action in the dream. And I cannot also be held accountable for what I did in the dream. Not at all. Similarly, from the perspective of Atman or Brahman, your limitless consciousness, what body, what mind, they are only your appearances, dreamlike. In you, the limitless ocean of Brahman. And what world? The world is limitless existence, consciousness, bliss. What is desirable there and what is undesirable? What is there for you to perceive and what is pursue? And what is there for you to avoid? Nirdosham hi samam Brahma. The faultless Brahman is everywhere, inside and outside. It is an ocean. Bhagavad Gita says, like an ocean covering everything. There is nothing that the world can give you. The world itself depends on you for its existence. It borrows its existence from you, Brahman. It borrows its light. The possibility of any experience, good and bad, is borrowed from you, the consciousness. It borrows its value. All the pleasant in the world which you are chasing is just a tiny reflection. Shankaracharya says, the spray from the ocean of Brahman, the ocean of bliss, which is you. So from that perspective, you cannot be a doer of action. How can Brahman do anything? There is only Brahman. You need not be a doer of action. What do you need? You're not even an experiencer of the results of action. You are pure awareness. Now, it does not mean that the world will not appear to you. It does not mean the body will not appear. The movie will continue. The movie will continue. But you are this one consciousness. You are not a limited individual being with a body, mind doing stuff and enjoying and suffering the results of that. You are the ocean itself. Therefore, from your perspective, you cannot be the doer of being bodiless, limitless consciousness. You are not the doer of actions. And therefore, you cannot be the experiencer of the results of actions, though you are the witness of it all. Therefore, Shankaracharya says, the contradiction, the clash, the difference between knowledge and action is unbridgeable. You cannot combine the two. How can you combine, see, as your own idea of yourself, how can you combine I am a body mind with I am limitless Brahman? Both cannot be true. What can be true is I am limitless Brahman and it is appearing as this body mind. I am acting through this body mind, but I am limitless Brahman. That's possible. But I'm really this body and mind. I'm really this limited person and I'm really limitless Brahman. No, the two contradictory. How can you say I'm really finite and really infinite? You can say I am the infinite appearing as this little finite being. That's all right. Or you can say I am a finite being. That's also all right. But you can never say I am really Brahman and I'm really this guy equally. No. You can never say I'm really the desert. There's no water here and I am water in the oasis. There's no real water there. But it's possible to be the desert and have an appearance of water, the oasis. An appearance and reality can coexist. The two contradictory realities cannot coexist. So he says, action and knowledge cannot be equally true. We cannot combine them both. Vedantic knowledge and action cannot be combined. Now notice, it does not prevent you from doing whatever you're supposed to do in life. Shankaracharya himself was one of the busiest people. People say that he's against action, but he's one of the busiest people. He lived for 32 years and a life of endless action. Why don't you look at that? Why would he engage in action if he is against action? No. He says you can knock yourself out. Work till the last breath of your life. But from your perspective, you are Brahman beyond action. So the two cannot be combined. Look at the two kinds of identity. I am body mind, I am limitless Brahman. Cannot be combined. Look at the two ideas of the world. Here is a world different from me with some attractive, tempting stuff and some really scary, horrible stuff, and the rest of it I'm indifferent to. This is a worldly view. What is the Advaita, the enlightened one's view? This is one expanse of existence, consciousness, bliss. Ramana Maharshi says, this universe is the expansion of the self. It's me. Therefore, there's nothing here that I really hate. There's nothing here that I really covet. How can I hate that which is me? How can I covet that which is me? So this is very different. Look at the different kinds of knowledge. When you say vidya, the word vidya in enlightenment, in Vedanta and in karma, the two have very different meanings. In karma kanda, vidya means the knowledge which we get through the mind and the senses of objects which are separate from us, and thoughts and ideas and desires. And vidya in Vedanta is not through the senses. It is about the reality which is already pre-existing. It is right now. Brahman is right here. We are just introduced to it through Vedanta. Vedanta Mahavakya Janya Brahmakara Vritti. This is the phrase. The unitary, the flash of unitary cognition that I am it all. I am limitless existence. How do you know that? Vedanta tells you, Tattvamasi, you are that. And that removes the veil on what was already there. That knowledge and the knowledge through the senses and the intellect, they're not the same kind of knowledge. So these two cannot be combined metaphysically. Practically, Shankaracharya has no objection. You want to sit in a mountain cave and never engage with society? Fine. You want to be endlessly busy day and night doing good to society? Fine. Both are fine. In both cases, Shankaracharya says if you're enlightened, it's not action. Inaction is not inaction, and action is not inaction. Action is not action either. You are Brahman. Therefore, it makes sense. Brahmatpanam, Brahmahavi, Brahmagno, Brahmanautam, Brahmaivatena Gantavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhina. Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, 24th verse. That the Vedic fire ritual. See how it subverts the Vedic fire ritual. In the Vedic fire ritual, what do you see? There is a priest. There is a fire is lit up, and there is mantras being chanted, and there is a wooden ladle with which offerings of ghee and these offerings are being poured into the fire in the accompaniment of the proper mantras. So there is chanting going on. There's an action of pouring going on. There is the fire which is different from the priest and the different from the offerings. They're all different, and activities are going on for a result to be attained in the future. And now Krishna says, it's not fire, it's Brahman. It's not a spoon, it's Brahman. It's not offerings, it's Brahman. It's not a priest, it's Brahman. The act of offering into the fire, it's not an act, it's Brahman. And this is the same limitless Brahman through and through. And he says, the one who sees this, that one attains Brahman. Attains means realizes, I am Brahman. This is very different. These two are very different. But from Shankaracharya's perspective, they're different, internally different. Another term, another concept I must bring in here. So Shankaracharya is not in, what he is opposing is samuchaya, that it both can be true together. You're infinite and finite together. No, that's not true. You think of yourself as finite when you are in ignorance. When you become enlightened, you realize that you are infinite. You always were. Then you continue to appear as this finite body mind. That's a different thing, but that's an appearance. You don't seriously say, I am that. There are huge consequences. The example I've said about Sri Ramakrishna, for example, who sees both sides. And when he's in cancer, when he says, yes, it hurts, I can't eat, he's dying of cancer. And when his disciple says, but sir, I see you're in great bliss. And Sri Ramakrishna says, oh, the rascal has found me out. So what is truth for him? Is it equally true that he's miserable and suffering and going to die? And is it equally true that he is in great bliss? Not equally true. Is it equally true that he's dead and he's immortal? That's crazy. That's literally impossible. The truth is that he is immortal, as we all are. The truth is, from that perspective, there is no suffering at all. But in the world of appearance, in the world of the movie, in the world of fiction, that suffering is there, the body will die, death is there, birth is there, all of that movie continues. So this is what Shankaracharya is referring to. Another point I must make before ending, the difference between Krama Mukti and Sadhyo Mukti. Sequential liberation and immediate liberation. Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta, the knowledge that I am Brahman, offers immediate liberation. You realize you're Brahman in this life, here itself. The moment you realize that, you're liberated, and you know you always were liberated actually. You come to realize your ever achieved liberation. In Sanskrit, they say praptasya prapti. You get what you always had. But there is a second route, the scenic route to liberation. Suppose one does not get liberation here, but one has tried hard and lived a devout life. Then what happens? Then the results of karma and meditation, what he's talking about now, they will catch hold of you. They will take you. Yes, the body will die and you will depart, just like everybody else. You'll depart, you will go from place to place. This is a sign of ignorance to go from place to place, from earth to heaven to hell, whatever. This is a sign of ignorance. That means you still think you are a limited being traveling. You will travel, but you will travel to the most glorious seventh heaven, and that is the Brahma Loka, and you will remain there for countless ages. Uh, from there itself, you can attain to enlightenment. From there itself, you can attain to freedom. You won't have to come back in the next universe either. You will realize you are limitless Brahman. So enlightenment will be there, but not here in this life, in some higher astral plane, in some higher celestial domain, technically Brahmaloka. So this is called sequential liberation, krama mukti. You go from ordinary human life. Vivekananda says, one devotee wrote to Vivekananda, I have been devout and practicing and nothing much has happened. And he cautions, he counsels patience. Vivekananda writes back, he says, have patience. You were an animal, you've become a human being now. Soon you will be a god, be patient. This is sequential liberation. Be a god, sequential liberation. From a very base human existence, we come to a more devout, a much better life, a more pure, peaceful life. And then you graduate to some unimaginably extraordinary spiritual realm. You still retain your individuality. You don't think of yourself as Brahman. There, through some unimaginable Vedanta classes, Zoom classes, I'm sure, of course, for the ancient rishis of that time, what we are doing now, teaching the same thing over Zoom, it might look like Brahma Loka for them, the world of the gods, the unimaginable technology. So, and some technology will be there by which you attain to liberation, and you don't come back to samsara and maya anymore. This is called sequential liberation. That's also admitted in Vedanta. That's also possible. But the Advaitins would say, why wait for that? Why not get it here and now? That's why they push for become enlightened. All right. Your one word about the samuchaya, the combination. I must acquaint you with the term saha samuchaya, krama samuchaya. Saha samuchaya means combining together at the same time. Shankaracharya is against it. You can't combine two absolute, it's logically impossible. That's why he says you are mad if you think infinity and limitedness can be equally combined. And death and immortality could be equally true. No, you can't combine. But in sequence, you can combine. You can have a life of meditation, ritual, devout life, followed by the renunciation of everything and realization that I am Brahman. This sequence is admitted. He says you can combine one after another. You can have a life of rituals and meditation, followed by a life of Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, Vedantic inquiry and enlightenment. This combination is perfectly fine, he says. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Now let me see. There are a number of questions. Jahnavi says, Swami Vivekananda says Shiva Jnani Jiva Seva, and you had once emphasized that he does not say Shiva Bhave by Jnani. Then does he mean that the full realization of God being the reality that pervades the universe? Yes. So when you say Shiva Jnani Jiva Seva, it literally means realizing all sentient beings to be Shiva, that is Brahman, pure consciousness, and then serve them. Would this be a way to reconcile Swamiji's philosophy of Karma Yoga with Adi Shankaracharya's seemingly contrary statement that Vastu will be attained by vichara, not by karma. Yes. By inquiry, Shankaracharya's approach is extremely logical. So if ignorance is the problem, knowledge is the solution. There's no two ways about it. Everything else can help you, but ultimately one must have knowledge. I don't know something, the only solution is to know that thing. And then it also follows, if knowledge is what we require, then inquiry is the practice. Seek the truth, inquire about it. How do you get any knowledge? How do you get any knowledge? You inquire. So self-knowledge, knowledge of Brahman, you have to inquire. There's no two ways about it. So you realize that. And Swami Vivekananda, he flattens that approach. He says, yes, knowledge is the way to enlightenment and freedom. However, that's only if you have the Advaitic framework in mind. There's no dispute. Shankaracharya is extremely consistent. Ignorance requires knowledge. Knowledge requires inquiry. And your meditation, devotion, karma yoga can all help that inquiry. But the inquiry is must because it will lead to knowledge. Knowledge is must because that's the only thing that can remove ignorance. But there are other schools of Vedanta also, many, many other schools. There are devotional schools and all of that. See, that's why there's a big disputes. This whole explanation which I gave you is the traditional explanation from the Advaita Vedanta perspective. There are other perspectives which will say, no, they're talking about enlightenment here. And you have to combine action, that is ritualistic worship, and chanting, and devotional exercises, and visualizations, and your study of Upanishads and all, combine it together, then it will give you enlightenment. That's from a different perspective. That's from a devotional perspective, not from the Advaitic perspective. Swami Vivekananda says that will also work if you approach it that way. But the paradigm is different. Amira says, Pranam Swamiji, in moments of dukkha, is it appropriate from the Advaita perspective to both logically remind ourselves of our true nature as infinite, unaffected Satchidananda consciousness, and simultaneously surrender to the idea whatever is happening in the will of Ishvara as taught is the essence of Bhagavad Gita? Perfect, very good. If you see the life of, say, for example, Swami Turiyanandaji, great Vedantin, non-dualist. But if you see his letters and his conversations, always he's surrendering everything to the Divine Mother. If you are asking questions about why this is happening and that is not happening, that's the Divine Mother. That's the play of Kali. That's the play of Shakti. And you must admit it and accept it. Do the best that you can. Lead a life of, again, you see, action and meditation. Keep your mind on a high plane and engage the body in the service of humanity. And know that you are Brahman, as you have said. In Kashmiri Shaivism, they put it this way. In Shiva Sutras, there are these 3 sutras. Chaitanyam Atma, the self is pure consciousness. You are pure consciousness. That's one sutra. Chittam Mantra, the mind is mantra. And Sharira Havihi, the body is the sacrificial offering in the fire. What the Vedic priest offers in the fire, the butter which is poured into the fire, the body is like that, being poured into the fire of the cosmos. What does this mean? It's a beautiful idea of the self, of what we are. You know yourself as pure consciousness, as non-dual consciousness, as Shiva. That's what you truly are. The mind, now I'm giving a very simple explanation. Kashmiri Shaivism is a very sophisticated and very ornate philosophy. So you'll have a lot of commentaries and explanations here. But I'm giving you a general, very good philosophy of life based on this. What about the mind? Yes, I am pure consciousness. I am the witness consciousness. I am Shiva. Now what do I do with the mind? You have to do something with it. Otherwise it will dwell on nonsense. So let it be filled with the mantra. You've been initiated into a mantra. Let it be filled with the mantra. What thought is the best for the mind to think? What's the best possible mind? What's the best possible thought? What's the best possible feeling or emotion? The best possible thought is the thought of God. It's the mantra. Best possible emotion is devotion, love of God. So keep your mind there. Let the mind be defined by the mantra. What's my mind? It's the mantra. As far as I can help it, the mind will not think of anything else except the mantra. What is the body then? Sharira Havihi. It's that oblation. The Vedic priest is pouring it into the fire. What is the fire? Cosmos, universe. What are you pouring into this universe, in this cosmic fire? This body. Let it go in the service of the universe. Service free. You don't have to run out around and trying to look for a homeless person to force feed. No need. Don't be a pest. Trust in the wisdom of the universe. Trust in the wisdom of the Divine Mother. Wherever she has put us, in whatever condition, let us just hold on to that and see what comes in front of us. Let's just do that. Don't worry. The burden of the universe is not on you. The burden of the universe is on the Divine Mother. If she has put you in a place, somebody is very sick, can't do anything, helpless. All right. Swami Turiyanji says, be like the kitten. There are two ways, the baby monkey and the kitten. The baby monkey approach is to hold on to the mother. The baby monkey clutches onto the mother. But if it lets go, it will fall. Whereas the kitten, Sri Ramakrishna used to say, Swami Turiyananda also used to say, the kitten doesn't do that. Kitten just says mew, mew. And the mother comes and catches hold of the kitten and takes it wherever it needs to be taken. The kitten is completely dependent on the mother. It just cries out to the mother. So fill your mind with the thoughts of the mother and surrender. And the mother will put you in a place where you will be of most use from her perspective. So, 3. Chaitanya Matma. Who am I? Pure consciousness. Shiva. Chittam mantra. What do I do with this mind? Keep it on the mantra. Very straight advice. What do I do with this body? Sharira havihi. Pour it out in service into this universe. We do exactly the opposite. We're very careful about protecting the body. Don't. It will go one day. It's not you. Vivekananda says, give, and do not look back. Give, because for it will be taken from you. The universe is snatching back what belongs to it. So quickly give, as long as it is in your hands. Time, money, energy, advice, behavior, nothing else, just a encouraging word and a smile to people. Just a few good encouraging thoughts into the universe. Sean Lee says, okay, it's just thanks. Thank you. Parul says, under the premise that I can't punish myself for my unethical actions, don't I give myself leeway to push boundaries of ethical behavior and hurt others? Karma kind of helps with this, as one helps evolves on the Vedantic path. Correct. My unethical actions will come around and bite me because karma will take hold. And therefore, this Vedic path, it binds you to a set of rules, regulations, practices, and so prevents us from doing instinctive wrong actions and thinking instinctive wrong thoughts. It will be an effort. It will not be perfect at all. All of this is an effort. Rick has got his hand up. Rick.
I'll try to make this quick, and it's possibly a two-part question. But the first part made it sound the first verse we read made it sound like you'd be better off doing nothing than doing rites or Vedic meditation, and that somehow doing rites or Vedic meditation separately would make you more ignorant than you already were.
Yeah.
That's true?
No, it isn't.
Oh.
That's why the principle, the second principle of that principle of interpretation, which I brought in, Shankaracharya uses that. What is the meaning of criticism or this condemning? Because you say that do the rituals, it takes you to darkness. Do the meditations, it takes you to greater darkness. But then later on it says combine both for amazing results. So the meaning of this, why would it say, why would the Vedas, the question is, why would the Vedas, after prescribing and describing all these rituals, why would the Vedas criticize it by saying it will lead you to darkness? The reason is it will not lead you to darkness. So this is all Shankara, that's why you can dispute his interpretations. His interpretations, it will not lead you to darkness. In fact, it will give you good results. But the principle of interpretation here is, in the Vedas, when you find something being criticized, it's not for criticizing that, but rather to praise something else. So here, the solitary performance, the individual separate performance of rituals is being criticized. The individual separate performance of meditation is being criticized for the purpose of praising the combination of both. That's the point here. Not that if you And do the rituals, it will lead you to darkness and ignorance. No, it won't. It will help you. If you just do meditation, it'll get you into trouble. It won't. It will help you. But the results will be very limited. That's the point here. That's his interpretation, at least.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Then Bhargava Tejas says, will you be explaining Swamiji's view on these verses as well? Yes, I'll try. I'll bring that in. There are multiple interpretations, by the way. I just gave you one. Every commentator struggles with these verses and tries to fit it into some different kind of perspective, a different interpretation. Swamiji gives an explanation. Aurobindo gives an explanation. Earlier, more ancient commentators also give different explanations. Sonali says, this also reminds me of Swami Akhandanand saying, Tattva bodh se ekta chitta mein samata aur vyavahar mein asangata, covers both transcendent and body-mind levels. Yes. So the meaning of this in English would be, truth shows you oneness. In the mind, there is equanimity. You see the sameness everywhere. And in your life, there is detachment. That is, asanga means non-attached. But you know, this is the manifestation of Vedantic knowledge. You realize I am Brahman. Therefore, under every circumstance, your mind remains equanimous, serene. And with all the passing pictures in the world, the display of things in the world, names and forms, you're completely unattached, like a mirror is unattached to any of the reflections. This is full enlightenment. These three verses are a step towards that, but not yet there, what you're talking about. That is the manifestation of enlightenment. That's a Jivan Mukta, a fully enlightened being, what you are referring to here.